What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to be taking you through a case study on how our team at adpunch.co scaled this eCom brand's revenue from 5k per month to over 60k plus per month in monthly recurring revenue through their online store. Now they did this using performance creatives and meta ads, taking their ad account from a 0.8x unprofitable ROAS to a 9.9x ROAS at scale. If you don't know who I am already, then my name's Philip. I'm one of the co-founders here at adpunch.co. We're a paid ads and performance creative agency, and we work with ecom brands making over 30k per month. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so this is a case study on how we scaled an ecom brand from 5k per month in revenue to over 60k per month in under 12 months using performance creatives and meta ads. Now, as a precursor to this brand over the last 30 days has done about 115k in revenue, but I didn't want to shamelessly include that in the title of this case study because we are of course including their November Black Friday sales and their run up to Christmas sales in that time period. So we're routinely hitting 60k per month, and yeah, it's been some tremendous growth over the past 12 months, and we're planning on even more growth over the coming 12 months. So to give you a little bit of background on this brand, well, firstly, they're in the luxury women's fashion and accessories niche. Now, they had some previous experience with another well-known large agency in Europe. However, that agency worked with them from June 2022 to August or September of 2022 before they were eventually kicked due to poor results, and then they came to adpunch.co through a referral in our network. And yeah, I mean, the last agency promised significant growth but failed to deliver and ended up burning a lot of ad spend and brand resources. So by the time they came to us, they had an unprofitable ad account, little to no social media growth, and just rapid financial loss due to the ineffective strategies that were being used up until this point. So to go into a little bit more detail in the challenges that they face and just show you a little bit of proof within the ad account. So over the course of the time that the previous agency worked with this brand from June 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2022, they spent a little bit over 4,500, so 4,500 in spend across 7 campaigns, and it only resulted in 3,400 in revenue returns. So that's a 0.75x ROAS, which is obviously not profitable from the very beginning. Now, looking at their Shopify dashboard over the same period, over June to August, they averaged about 5k per month, so 15k in total revenue over this time, and it was only a 9% increase in revenue over 3 months, looking at the same time period the year before. So pretty abysmal results, especially when their goals were to have a profitable ad account, to actually scale their revenue and also grow their social media. So when they came to us, they discussed these goals with us, and yeah, I mean, just to kind of precursor this and show you a little bit of proof, the revenue that they made in the month before joining us was 4,000 euros, and then in the 11th month of working with us, the revenue was just over 63.5k in revenue. Now, to show you some proof of that, we can look at the same time period the following year, so from June until the end of August. We spent a little bit over 7,500, so, and that's across just 4 campaigns, and that resulted in a return of 74k, so that's a 9.6x return. So you can already see that the changes in the ad account that we brought in over time both allowed us to scale the ad spend, but also allowed us to just increase the ROAS drastically within the ad account. And again, looking at the same time period the following year within their Shopify dashboard, so from June till the end of August, you can see it was almost a 8 100% increase in revenue in comparison to the previous year. So that's literally a 9x in growth. Okay, and what I really love about this case study is that when you look at their total sales, for example, from the very start of 2022, so before they started with the previous agency, and then you look at their growth from then until when, you know, today's date, you can see that there's just been huge growth, particularly when they started working with us. So you can see they averaged about 5k along this dotted line from 2021 onwards. Throughout 2022 they still averaged the same 5k per month, and then we joined in Q4 of 2022, so you can see you know, almost a 200% increase within the first quarter, and just continued sustainable growth since we've worked with them. So to go through the strategy, well, with our ad account strategy and kind of getting that to a profitable state, well, we look at it from kind of two sides, and we look at it from a media buying perspective but also a creative strategy perspective. And you know, it's all about picking the right ad account structure, but also making sure that there's a process in place that ideates, sources and develops high converting creatives for that ad account. Now, we do this by going into a pretty deep research period to kind of determine just the most effective structure that will provide our team, who are creative strategists and media buyers, as well as management of the brand, just with better feedback as to what was successful for them in terms of content, what wasn't successful for them in terms of their content and marketing, so that they can actually make decisions on that and just continuously improve over time. So in terms of the media buying strategy, first, of course, we planned the budget. So they set a pretty cautious initial budget of about 2,500. This equates to about 85 euros per day, and that was because they had previous negative experiences. They obviously wanted to see whether we could perform with a smaller budget first. So how we allocated that budget was we put 90% towards top of funnel campaigns and 10% towards retargeting efforts, particularly in the beginning. That moved to about 20% as we scaled the revenue, or scaled the ad spend, but that was what we used at the beginning. In terms of targeting, we noticed that there was a lot of detailed targeting being used by the previous agency in the top of funnel campaigns. Now, this did include some broad targeting, but in general they were targeting, you know, a lot of different detailed targeting related to the niche itself. So we moved away from that and focused mainly on broad targeting, and this was primarily because there was a lot of changes at the time in the Facebook algorithm that, you know, was telling us to do a lot of our targeting within the creative itself rather than within the ad account, and we relied on Facebook's algorithm and their AI to actually target for us. So initial results from that was, you know, there was a significant improvement within the ad account within the first month. So we went from a 0.8x ROAS to a 2.6x ROAS. Not the best results, but it was the first month and it was much more positive and obviously profitable for the brand than what they were achieving before. So in terms of creative strategy perspective, well, when we begin this, you know, we obviously do creative analysis on reviewing what was successful in terms of creative for the ad account in the past, for the brand in the past, as well as looking at successful creatives for competitors within the niche. So we looked at a lot of the content that was available to us within the content bank as well, to see what we can actually create and just ideate and brainstorm a lot of different creative ideas that we can do right at the beginning to try and get the ad account to a profitable state. In terms of research tools, of course we use the Facebook Ads Manager to look at results from previous creatives, but we also looked at the Facebook ad library at the beginning, particularly to look at competitor ads. And then later, once foreplay started to get a little bit more popular, and we started working it into our own workflow, we used that for competitor research and just creative ideation ongoing throughout this kind of 12-month process. But another valuable thing that we used for this brand was a kind of customer feedback utilization kind of loop. So we analysed a lot of the customer reviews for purchase motivations, pain points, and just their most liked features, because often we see that if you want to figure out exactly why your customers are purchasing, then you may as well just ask them and go directly to the source, and they will literally tell you in their reviews. So we applied these insights to all the various copy that we used in our marketing, the targeting that we used in our creative, so what we would call out, whether it was overlay text or whether it was something mentioned in the video, and again just the overall marketing angles that we applied to each creative that we created. So we identified, really from looking at the ad account, that high production image creatives were actually outperforming UGC style images within the ads itself. And we also noted that the previous agency just completely stepped away from testing video content, which was pretty unusual to see. So we wanted to test from the beginning a lot of video creatives, because there was a lot of high quality video content available, and that high production image content was performing well within the ad account. So that's why we prioritized that from the beginning. Again, the results were good from the beginning, and once we realized our initial research and testing had been successful, it was time to move on to the brand's second goal, and that was actually scaling their store's revenue. So the strategy that we used here was, of course, we analyzed all of the post initial testing data. So we focused on testing various different creative variations. So we tested user generated content style, high production video content. We tested mashups of both of them combined, and really the goal here was just to identify early on our winning products, our winning angles, and of course our winning creatives that we could use to scale and then take our learnings from and just double down on. The structure that we used for the ad account itself was a relatively simple structure, and this is what we kind of preach across all of our ad accounts, that simplicity is key, especially because it makes it a lot easier for us as media buyers to actually identify what's performing, but for our brand owners and our clients to understand as management what is performing and what's not performing. So we used a top of funnel sales campaign, an advanced shopping plus campaign, and a middle of funnel, bottom of funnel sales campaign. So targeting in the top of funnel sales campaign again was broad, but was to completely cold audiences. So people who hadn't been on the website, people who hadn't been on the social media, and people who haven't purchased before. The Ask campaign, of course, we don't get to change the targeting here because it's down to Facebook and their AI to actually identify the best people to show these ads to. And then the middle of funnel, bottom of funnel campaign again is shown to, website visitors, add to carts, people who have watched any of the social media content, and of course people who have looked at particular products. So additional campaigns that we did run was a traffic campaign. We used a traffic campaign around new collection launches for this brand. So despite the fact that these campaigns or these ad sets didn't get as high a ROAS as the other ads that we ran in these three campaigns, the thing is that we saw that when we did run these traffic campaigns around the new collection launches, these campaigns and these sales campaigns performed at a much higher success rate. So inside these traffic campaigns, excuse me, there was awareness campaigns as well, and these were just focused around special events that they were running, so things like pop-up stores, and they were really just done based on location. But those were just two additional campaigns that we ran in line with the core three campaigns that you see here. The thing about this client as well is that they had a very high creative contribution and output. So Their team was constantly creating new content for us, both high production but also kind of UGC style content that we would have to send to our video editors, send to our graphic designers in order to create the various different creatives that we outlined for them. And as well, when we took our learnings from the ad account and running these creatives, we were able to feed back that information to the brand owner and to the creative team within the brand so that they could actually create more content that was performing for us in the ad account. So the kind of content remixing and kind of feedback process that I'm describing here is just outlined here. So again, when we would start a new campaign, we would research and define the campaign objective. Often it was sales. We would ideate and brief a number of new creatives in a document that we would pass to our graphic designers, our video editors, and they would then remix the existing content in line with that content brief. We would review the copy. If there was any revisions needed, we'd make those. And once they were approved, it was just down to our media buying team to actually launch those creatives. Now, of course, you monitor their performance, but the process of optimizing and duplicating those winning ads is we would test these creatives in the top of funnel sales campaign, and that's where we would test all new creatives. If we found creatives to be winners pretty quickly, so after a week, 2 weeks of running, what we would do is we would duplicate those ads into the Advantage Shopping campaigns, and that would allow our Advantage Shopping campaign to just continue to be profitable and grow and scale as we added more and more winning creatives to that. If we found that some particular creative didn't perform, then we would try and iterate on that creative. So we would look at different metrics like the hook rate, which is obviously the performance of the first 1 to 3 seconds, the hold rate, how the rest of the main body and call to action performed, were people dropping off during those particular sections of the content. If they were, we would try and think about and iterate on that creative to replace that particular section and try and improve on that so we could launch it in the ad account again. If we needed more creatives, it was just a case of analysing what performed well, picking the angles that did perform the best, doubling down on those, or else maybe picking a new creative angle and just going through the process again. So that essentially was the main kind of ad strategy and creative strategy that we use for actually scaling the account itself. And then just kind of other levers for growth was, of course, utilizing post IDs for ad duplication. So again, when we duplicated those ads, we didn't re-upload that creative and start afresh with a new ad that looked the exact same but the targeting was slightly different. What we would do is we would utilize the original post IDs, so that would allow us to save all of the social proof that was on the ad in the form of likes, comments, shares, and it just allowed a lot less fatigue in all of the ads that we ran, and allowed us to scale a little bit more efficiently throughout the ad account. And to just kind of paint the picture of how effective this is if you were to come across both of these creatives in your feed, which one would you as a consumer be more likely to purchase from? The one that has 150 reactions, 11 comments and 8 shares, or the creative that was duplicated but re-uploaded and not utilizing the post ID that only has 1 like and had to start afresh? So yeah, again, that just kind of shows the value of utilizing post IDs. And then I suppose finally, streamlining the content creation and sourcing process to ensure that we had, a flow of content coming into us that we could replace creatives, test new angles, test new ideas within the ad account, just allowed us to scale a lot quicker. So we use frameworks like problem solution, us versus them, founder story, unboxing reviews, all of these creatives here and these frameworks here, and it just allowed us to keep the creatives fresh but also streamline the sourcing process for these creatives and make it easier for the brand's creative team to do that. And then finally, of course, this brand did have a decent email marketing and remarketing strategy in place already, so that made our lives a lot easier and allowed us to scale. Because of course, when we work with any ecom brand, we aren't just looking at their ads alone. We want to look at the brand holistically, look at their marketing holistically, and make sure that they're covering all areas from customer acquisition all the way to remarketing them later. So yeah, I suppose the final goal that this brand had was to grow their social media channels. Now, Pierce, who's head of paid ads and implementation and is also a co-founder of adpunch.co, he is basically head of all of paid ad strategy and just managing all of our clients. But he was the one that initiated the idea to set up follower campaigns that were in line with the new collection launches for this brand. Now, we tested this and we kind of were thinking that it would provide, you know, a little bit of excitement around the new collections. It would also gain new followers for the brand, but also get some more prospective customers into the funnel itself. And it did just that. So we ran these ad sets within the traffic campaign, and they utilize between a 1 to a 5% lookalike audience in Ireland and the UK for targeting. So that's the brand's primary customer base. The impact that it had, well, firstly, it boosted the success of the new collection sales campaigns, which I mentioned earlier, but it also significantly grew the brand's following on Instagram. So we actually doubled the following of the Instagram page by utilizing these follower campaigns over the course of 12 months, while still retaining a profitable ROAS throughout. So you can see there was significant growth even from April until the start of December. So 12,000 followers, up 94% from the previous period. And, you know, while the ad sets and the ads itself didn't have as profitable a ROAS, the ROAS was still profitable, which allowed us to keep these followers campaigns running. And yeah, I mean, the performance increase in our other sales campaigns was just a lot better, so that's why we decided to keep these running. The one thing I would say about this, if you are a brand owner, is that it's worth testing, but we have tested this in other client ad accounts and it has not been as successful. So it's worth testing, but just don't be disheartened if it doesn't work within your own ad account. So, I mean, that basically is the strategy that we used. And like I said, you know, the brand has went from making, you know, 5k per month working with an unprofitable ad account to making over 60 to 70k per month, and actually clearing over the last 30 days over 115k in revenue alone. So if we look at that, 114k in revenue, so that's a huge revenue mark for them. And yeah, I mean, the brand's delighted, we're delighted to have been part of the journey with them, and we're looking forward to continued growth with this brand. So if you're looking to replicate this success with your own brand, then I'd be more than happy to connect with you. You can book a free strategy session with me by clicking the link in the description, so just down there. And if you want more information on our agency, just visit adpunch.co. You can learn more about the strategies we use, how we tailor them exactly for your brand, and how we can scale your direct-to-consumer stores revenue. So if you enjoyed this video, comment if you'd like to see any of the strategies in more detail, and I'll create a video on that. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights, and of course hit the like button. It would be very helpful to me and to our agency as a whole. So I hope you found this valuable, and thank you very much for watching.